Hello, career thought leaders. It's good to see you here today. And we are going to be talking about how you can get better leads from LinkedIn and some of the ways that we can address the problems with LinkedIn, but also some of the ways that we can just work around it. So go ahead and say hello. Let me know that you're joining me in the chat. And I am trying now again to see if we can share into our group on the Facebook group, because that's one of the things we're going to talk about today is some information that people are sharing in our Facebook group that might be helpful. So let me do that. And we are going to dive into talking about what's going on with LinkedIn services. So if you haven't been there in a while, LinkedIn services has changed. So LinkedIn services, it used to be called ProFinder way back, but I know we still have people that think about it that way, that call it that. So it's good for us to remember that it used to be called ProFinder. And it used to be available to everyone, no matter what kind of level you were. Well, that changed, I don't know, maybe a year ago that we talked about that things were changing. And one of the things that they did is they created the services platform. And I'll pull it up and I'll show you LinkedIn services. Some of you may not have seen it yet or may not have really paid attention to it yet if it's not a main way that you've been getting business. Or some people were even getting business from it and didn't really pay attention to the fact that it changed. So we'll look at services really quickly and then we'll talk about some of the things that you can do. Excellent. Hi, Kathleen. Hi, Nancy. Excellent. Nice to see you. Good to hear about that topic. Yeah, Nancy, it always adjusts to your time zone. So I'm glad you were able to find us at 2 o'clock Mountain, 4 o'clock Eastern time every Tuesday at pretty much the same time we are here. So let's go ahead and look at the services page and how you get there, because that's an important thing to know. And when you're on your profile, the easiest way to find it is to go down to the services section. Now, I will say that still today, this looks different on some people's profiles than on others, and we're not quite sure why. Doesn't seem to necessarily correlate to what level of business you're paying for with LinkedIn. It just looks different on some people's screens. If you do have a higher level, so the business premium, which is about $60 a month, if you do have that business premium level and the services looks a little bit different when other people look at your profile, and we'll look at some of that, but it on the inside of your profile where you have access to change things, this is what you're looking for, this section that says services. So when I click into that services area, I can click all, or I can click on the little pencil to edit it. When I click on the pencil to edit it, I see some things, but not everything that I have access to. So I can add services. I've never been a huge fan of this because you have to put in what they want you to say. So like training, what I do doesn't really fit in their boxes. So you do have limited options in terms of what you can choose, which of course they have to do because they have to be able to let people find each other. But it's not a great place for me to find business because my business is business to business really versus business to customer. And then, I don't know, resume writers, career coaches aren't always looking for the type of business I do through this kind of services. So you get 500 characters here, you can see, to talk about your business. And then you get to say where you work, pricing if you want to. You can add media, which a lot of people don't know, but you can do that as well. And this again is all, I don't have a free version, but I do not have business premium. So most of what you see here will be available to you. You can have reviews and we'll look at where those are. And then to allow people to message you if you want. So this is on kind of the quick edit screen that you get to if you click on the pencil. And then if you click on show all, you get to your services page. So this is what someone who's looking in the services section of LinkedIn would see when they find your services page. For the most part, obviously, you're still seeing the editing version. But you can manage projects, you can upload samples. There's a whole conversation there around resume samples. And a lot of us don't necessarily upload samples for free because we'd rather have people talk to us and get those samples. But you can upload those types of samples if you want. You could upload a brochure. I mean, you could upload whatever you want to in the samples area. That's just what it's called. And if you've got something creative in that area, give us a note, drop us a note, let us know. Love to see. Then you see that about that I was editing in the quick edit area, the services, the media that you can add, and then the reviews. And now this is kind of nice because you can invite people to review your services even if they haven't done business with you on LinkedIn. Obviously, you would want them to have actually done business with you, but you can reach out to people and have them do a services review for you here, just like they would do on Google or whatever, so that your services page has this rating. Now we've kind of gone back and forth and thought about, do reviews matter in terms of where you show up in the search results? Doesn't seem to consistently, but of course it can't hurt. So getting some real reviews. If you have people that have written a recommendation for you on LinkedIn for your services, you could reach out to them and one of our colleagues, Denise Bittler, she copies it and pastes it into an email for them and says, you did put this review recommendation on my profile. I'd love if you could also leave a review on my services page. It's important to know that the two don't connect at all. So if someone gives you a recommendation, it doesn't show up here. Someone gives you a review here, it doesn't show up in recommendations. And there's benefit to having people both places, of course, because when someone's looking for an individual, they might search just on profiles and find your profile first and see that recommendation. Or if they're searching on the services feature, they come in here, they see your services page. You want them to find you here as well. Then you've got your, you can edit this page from here. Just this pops up the exact same window we were looking at when we were on the other part of my profile. Then you get to see your requests. And this is so ironic. I was going to talk about this topic today because I had the first request come in months that I've had. So I can't click over to my requests page because I want to honor that person's privacy. But you do get to see the requests that have come in and the client projects. So here's the deal in what has changed. So you used to get requests kind of in a general pool. Now there are two types of requests. And from what we can tell, the free version only gets direct requests, whereas the paid version, you can get direct requests as well as show up in a search result. So direct means that someone kind of found you directly through the services page and is reaching out to you directly for services, or they can submit a services request and it goes to a handful of people and you get that more indirect request. So there's a few different ways that things might come into you. But what we're seeing overall, and I'd love to hear if some of you are seeing this, is we're seeing a decrease in requests. Now, I saw a decrease in requests years ago because I stopped trying. I stopped responding the same way. I just respond to people with a message to refer and wouldn't really try to get business there. And there is some thought that if you don't respond, your ability to show up and things goes down. Doesn't mean you have to give a proposal, but you do want to respond to every request if you want to keep things going. So people have seen that requests slow. They've also seen requests just come from not quality leads. Now, here I'll tell you that I'd be a little bit careful about this. So some people are saying, oh, I'm only seeing requests from non-US people, which means they're a bad lead. And not necessarily, and there may be some more lead, whatever it's called, qualification. That's the right word. Lead qualification that you want to do, because just because someone's not in the US doesn't mean they might not be a good business opportunity. So we've got big companies opening offices around the world. And I've seen and heard of a large uptick in these types of requests from countries in Africa, especially Nigeria, South Africa, places where some of these bigger companies are moving in. And that could be a completely legitimate request of someone who's applying to a multinational company and actually could use a US style resume even though they're not in the US. So if you get those requests, I would encourage you just to reach out, learn more. What type of organization are they applying to? See how their response sounds before you decide that they're not necessarily a good lead. And we've talked a little bit in our other groups about ways that you can get payment. There are some other challenges. However, I would let the client decide those are challenges they don't want to overcome versus us deciding that right off the bat. So we're seeing a lot of less than great requests through services. We're seeing things coming from places that aren't a good fit, people that don't reach out in English, which if you're an only English speaker, that isn't a good business proposition for you probably. So how do we deal with that? Well, there's been some talk in our Facebook groups, and if you're interested in joining our Facebook groups, if you're a career services provider, it is specifically for career services providers. I will drop that link here in the chat. It's a pretty easy one. It's facebook.com/groups/CTL colleagues, because it's our career thought leaders group. I'll drop it in the comments here, and then I'll pull it up on the screen as well. So this is a place where services providers are giving each other support and having these kinds of conversations. One of our members who's talked quite a bit to LinkedIn, Tom Powner, has been posting some of the information that we could share with LinkedIn when we submit a services request, that we need help, not a services request like LinkedIn services, but a service request from LinkedIn help that shows them what we're seeing and the challenges that we're having, especially when we're not able to set maybe even the countries that we'd accept business from, the places that we're set up to take payments from, those types of things. So we're advocating for ourselves, and we're happy to give you some of that information that Tom has shared and others have shared so that you're armed to advocate for yourself when you're seeing these challenges with your services page. Obviously, if you're a paying services member, if you're a business premium member, you're going to have a little bit more access to some of that than other people. Although we haven't seen our paying business premium members get much traction, which is frustrating, right? You're paying $60 a month for the service, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of action in terms of helping people fix it. So I also want to talk about what can we do instead or on top of this services page that you might have set up. But that is where you can start, is setting up your services page, making sure you have your services listed, filling out your profile, putting up the media that you want to. You can, put up your certification PDFs. You can put up a lot of things that would make that services page very healthy and good for people who do land on it. And then if you have these challenges of getting services requests that aren't a good fit, let me know. If you don't want to join the Facebook group, because I know not everybody's on Facebook, drop me a note and we can send you the process that our colleagues are recommending when they're contacting the services help, the LinkedIn help group, to try to get some of these problems fixed. So that's the first thing. And it's good, right? It's good to have this page, to have it set up, to respond to the requests that you get, even if they're not a good fit, to go ahead and respond and tell that person that it isn't a good fit, maybe point them in the direction of a different resource or a colleague who might be a better fit. We do have colleagues that are native resume writers in, the continent of Africa and in some places in Asia like India. And so if you do that you're getting requests from there, you might find a colleague that you could refer to that's located in those areas and might be better fit to help those individuals. So those are some options that we have. But the other thing is, how do we build our business if this services page isn't working for us anymore? I know some of our colleagues used to get tens of prospects every day or every week off of services, and now they're getting next to nothing. And this is a shift that is happening on a lot of different platforms. Even talking a few weeks ago, we talked about how GPT is changing digital branding, is changing search engine optimization for websites. So these changes are not new, right? It's constantly evolving the way that we find clients. Now, you might remember that maybe a year ago now, we talked about all the different ways to market your business. And then it really comes down to figuring out the sweet spot between how do you want to market or communicate or build community, whatever word you want to use, and where is your client base and how do they engage with these types of conversations. You've got to find that sweet spot. First, starting off with you, because let's face it, if you don't like the way you're marketing, you aren't going to do it on a regular basis. You might have noticed that I don't mind video. I come here every Tuesday. It's really easy for me to show up every Tuesday and engage with you all. I love it. It's fun. Let me know your comments. Let me know your thoughts, right? That works for me. Other people would never do live video in their life, right? But maybe you like to write, maybe you like to network, maybe you like to do virtual events or in-person events or speaking or webinars or whatever. I have gone through marketing training in every single area that you can imagine. And in every single area that you can imagine, the person teaching it says, this is the best way to get business. So what have I learned from that? Is that every single way that you can get business can be successful. What it comes down to is it something that you want to do over and over again and perfect in the way that you want to do it? And of course, does it align with your audience? But almost any of those ways, you can find the tweak that would align with your audience. So what do you like to do? What fits for you? Is it writing? Is it video? Is it speaking? Is it networking? Is it, the back end SEO? I'm going to figure out the algorithm. Whatever it is, that's where you want to dive deep. And the challenge is kind of blocking out the noise, because you're going to hear all those millions of marketers that I follow saying this is the way. But that's not necessarily true. You can make it successful for you if you find something that does work for you and you dig deep into it. We've got colleagues that have, and clients probably, that have very successful business that never post on social media, that never send an email, that never do a video, that never do a speaking engagement, right? You can find someone that does business your way and then learn from them. Now, this isn't a huge surprise to those of us who are career coaches, right? Because we teach strengths-based stuff. Now we just have to turn it into ourselves and say, okay, how am I going to capitalize on my own strengths in my marketing? And you can do almost all of these things on LinkedIn, right? So we've had people that are joining professional association groups and engaging there. It's a little harder on LinkedIn because groups aren't always engaged. But you can find that. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them somewhere else. You're looking for those opportunities to connect and build community. Oh my gosh, this fly that has decided to frequent my face is back. Yeah. Oh, this is great. Very successful coach whose main source of leads is her free Yelp page. Now, if you want to get business on LinkedIn, like I said, you can do almost any of these things on LinkedIn and make it work for you. Webinars, events, going live, writing posts. The thing that you've got to think about, so I use the job seeker analogy because it's easy for us. You tell your job seeker the same thing pretty much, right? That they can go network, they can go to professional associations, they can do one-on-one, they can follow up with colleagues, they can reach out cold to people at the companies they want to work for. They have all these options, very similar to us. They've got to find what works for them and be consistent and follow up. So nothing happens if we don't follow up and build that actual relationship. And I like to think about LinkedIn as a networking event. You're going to this networking event, you're trying to find kind of the little groups, right, that are standing around the room that you would like to engage with. The challenge for a lot of us is that if you only talk to other career coaches or resume writers, you'll often end up not engaging with the right people. So how do you find maybe more diverse groups or more targeted groups that you can engage with on LinkedIn? And that, that can be helpful to do that, to find those individuals and then start to engage with them. And we just started, by the way, this yesterday, our new challenge, LinkedIn to clients. Yesterday, we went through identifying your client and really understanding them. And then tomorrow, Wednesday, we're going to go through how do you find these people on LinkedIn so that you can engage with them. But not everyone needs to be on LinkedIn. But if you choose LinkedIn, that it's figuring out how do you want to engage there, and then how do you follow it through to the actual relationship building piece, because just posting content's not going to get you there. In fact, even just commenting on posts won't get you there, although those are good things to do. We've got to follow the strategy through to actually engaging with people, responding, writing messages. And the nice part for most of us is we're not looking for a huge business. I know you get the same things I get where people are saying, I'll get you 100 new clients. I'm like, whoa, nope. That's just not most of our business, right? Most of us are great if we can do 10 clients a month, 15 clients a month. We are a high-end service. We don't need that volume. And that means you can take the time to have these conversations. I interviewed someone on my radio show a few years ago. I'll find the link and drop it here. But she and her business group, they call them they're unscalable conversations, meaning that you can't automate it, you can't scale it, because you're actually looking to have real conversations with people like you would at a networking event or a one-on-one follow-up after a networking event. But that's good for us, because even if that person doesn't do business with us, they're going to refer us to other people. I'm sure that some of you have had this. Drop it in the comments if you have, where you talk to someone networking or even a prospect call, and that person never does business with you, but all of a sudden you're getting referrals from them. Because once you've made that impression on someone and you have a real relationship, a real conversation, you're going to get referrals in our business. And we're going to talk about systemizing referrals, because that was another question that came up in our Facebook group. And we've done topics on it before. And so reach out if you want more immediate answers there. But we can systemize referrals if we focus on relationship and communication with these people who become our referral partners. But that's what we're aiming for on LinkedIn. Now, the services page is great because it's kind of like your website or an online job listing. It's going to get and attract some of that business, but it's not going to drive business for you anymore. Maybe at the beginning when there weren't as many people and we all showed up in the searches more, it did. But it's just not, I don't know that it's ever going to do that, no matter how much we complain to LinkedIn about it, because there's more people offering services worldwide, and there's just not as many ways that we can get connected to those service requests. In addition to the fact, of course, that now there's some question about maybe people who submit requests aren't even getting those requests seen by people that would be a good fit for them. And hopefully LinkedIn can work on that. I don't know about you. I don't have time to sit around and wait for that. So how can we go out and build our business in a way that fits for us? First, you got to figure out what works for you. How do you want to consistently show up? Then you've got to figure out, where are your clients? What groups are they participating in? What communities are they a part of? What social media are they actually on and engaged on in a regular basis, so that you can go and have those conversations, be visible to them, but also build those relationships that you want to build. And that is where that's what we're trying to do here, right? Oh, we already showed that one, but thank you for sharing it anyways. So if you want to dive deep, and I know there's other programs out there today that talk about coaching clients on LinkedIn, and this program does that, but it's really not where it's at. I'm going to say that it's not where it's at, because it is about understanding who your audience is, but more importantly, who you are. And we've been doing this program for, 10 years. We've been doing it in this new version for 8. And what I see in this program is transformation, because people get a chance to really think about, who am I and what do I want to show up as? Because when you don't know that, you can't show up consistently, you can't connect to anyone else. You have a story to tell, but you don't know what it is or who the audience is. Or maybe one of those things is clear, but not the other. And so, teaching you how to post on LinkedIn, honestly, that takes 10 seconds. But teaching you what to say in a way that feels confident and comfortable to you, and how to find the people that you actually want to engage with and have conversations with that aren't just our peers, although those conversations are good too. That's where we're different. That's where this program is different than anything else out there. We're going to go deep. You're going to do hard work. You're going to have to actually take action and do homework, and we give you feedback on it. And the idea behind this program is really to help you find your place in the digital branding space so that you can truly help clients find it too. Not just coach them in the basics of LinkedIn or how recruiters find them. That's great. But how do they want to show up? And how do they start engaging with real people, with relationships that matter, using online tools, not just LinkedIn? That's what this program is all about. So this starts next Thursday, and I'd love for you to join us. I've been kind of quiet about it for a while, and I'm done being quiet about it. They say that it's flattering to be copied, but I just want to tell you how we're different and what the program does that's different. So if that's of interest and you're curious about it, let me know. Going to be talking to Kate Pozesnik, who helps me with that program, next Tuesday. We're going to talk about the new things in social media, not just about the program. So join us, get the new data on who's using what on social media. And of course, we'll be here every Tuesday for the now, the new, and the next in careers. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.